one of the deepest questions I think a human can ever ask of themselves is the question, who am I? And I think Alan Watts spent a large part of his career bringing this question into the forelight about this idea of the definitions of who one really is, and to bring these ideas that are the real foundation to Eastern philosophies. And I think he found many different ways of doing that, and finding very significant and provisional ways of allowing people who don't necessarily know who they are and understand deep wisdom to start to begin to feel and understand it on a more experiential level. And this idea of asking who you are, if you were to ask somebody, who are you, they would begin to say, well, they would give their name, and then they would probably give their, occupation, and they give all the different variations of their characteristics of personality and what people say about them, which we would refer to them as their ego, their image, their idea of themselves that they create by the mind. And Alan Watts begins to show people that illusion of their idea, their image, is actually expands much greater than that. He begins to then show them how their nervous system is responsible for creating the world in which they perceive, and how their nervous system is also in that world, and that there's a deep, intimate, mutual transaction between the experiencer, what is happening, and what the person is doing, and what is happening to them. And it's really, really cool to feel themselves in that way, and to show how you are so interweaved with the experience of being human. And I think this is an important step into self-inquiry and learning about who you are. And what it alludes to and eventually can get down to is the deeper understanding of who you are, and Tat Tvam Asi, and which means you're it. And this idea that the knowledge of the true self that everyone is and everything is, being referred to as God, universe, infinite awareness, infinite consciousness, unchanging, Brahman, Atman, spirit, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of semantics when it comes to this. And understanding this deep rooted wisdom that we are all this is really really profound. I like how Alan Watts brings up the idea of the definition of a person. A person is someone that is putting on a persona, someone that is stepping out onto stage as an act, a role that they're playing, in which we're all doing. We're all playing this role, but in the background, in the green room, we're all this Brahman, the infinite consciousness, awareness that focuses itself into this idea of Maya, illusion, in which it creates concepts. Our mind creates concepts about what the way the world really is, and that we forget ourselves. We forget that we are all this sensation, this infinite awareness that is so. And we can focus on this when we turn around and start to look deep within and get this sense of I-ness. Whereas when somebody is creating, say the mind is, they say they are experiencing thoughts and perceptions, feelings, emotions. Those thoughts, perceptions, feelings, emotions, contrasts come and go, but there is this one constant that remains, and this idea of infinite awareness remains, and that we are all fundamentally that. But it is something that cannot be conceived by the mind, and so it's referred to things as nothing, and all these other words that are that can be very vague and difficult to hold on to, because they are this idea is that the real deep down you is non-dual, and this non-duality is very difficult to talk about, because by its nature, by saying non-duality, it creates a duality of things that are dual and things that are non-dual. And that's where it gets really interesting, and I think Alan Watts does a very good job of trying to explain the unexplainable. And I think it's beautiful. another analogous of this infinite awareness is that of a screen, or that of a speaker itself. Okay, so consciousness being, the radio that transmits sound. We're hearing what's coming from the radio, but we're not hearing the radio itself. It's clear. Is it clear? Is it transparent? Is it something? And it's hard to put our word on it of what it is. And so there are many ways of attempting to do that. But I think this sense of self-inquiry and this attaining this knowledge can be an immense way of living if you can live from a point of this understanding, this knowledge. It can relay a lot of our anxieties about things that we get overly involved with, like relationships and drama and all of these things that we tend to take very serious. So this is the foundation of the Eastern philosophies and understanding who you are. And there are many practices that can allow one to learn this knowledge. Vedanta, many different Buddhist ways, many different plant medicines can, and I think it's quite beautiful. And although many that disagree that there are perfect ways in order to do it and to achieve and to truly know who you are, I think that there are many different ways in which it can happen, but that ultimately probably guidance is important. So yeah, the beautiful part of being human.